All right, welcome to another CyberSec Tuesday. Thanks everybody for joining us. For those that are new, we meet up every Tuesday night here on Discord at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Before we get things kicked off, I just want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. That's Arclight 6 Consulting. They're an engineering and security consulting firm focusing on cybersecurity, networking, and software engineering. So if you're interested in checking them out, you can check them out over at arclight6.com. Information's on the stream or on the screen. But tonight we have Warelock doing a talk on his soon-to-be open source, open hardware crypto wallet, specifically for Pirate Chain. Warelock, feel free to kick it off.
Hello, this is Warelock. Um, yeah, I have been part of the Null 44 group for a while. I've known some of the people that run it a long time. And so the purpose of my talk today is to kind of introduce you to this group this organization essentially that I founded. I'm the sole founder of it. And I have my website up and running here so you can see it. And it's the name of the organization is the Zero Transaction History Alliance. And as you can see here from the logo, it combines sort of three different currencies. Here we have gold, here we have silver, and here we have this Circle P logo, which stands for Pirate Chain, which is it's what a lot of people would call cryptocurrency, but it's not, in my view. And that's because it's unique in that it uses a special technology called zero knowledge proofs, which leaks exactly zero public transaction history. Sort of leaves zero amount of that history behind. And that's really important if you're going to use digital money, which most people, when they think of it, they think of Bitcoin. But yeah, so the term crypto basically is borrowed from cryptography, right? And cryptography has two root words in it that come from ancient Greek, kryptos and grapheia. Kryptos means hidden, and grapheia means writing. So cryptography is literally hidden writing. Now, people borrowed that term of crypto, right, to sort of get that sort of cachet of, hey, we're hidden. Unfortunately, anybody who knows anything about Bitcoin or the many thousands of clones that have kind of come from that, they are anything but private. In fact, with Bitcoin address or wallet or whatever, you have less privacy than you have with a bank account. So you see it in media. Well, let's say, oh, in the early days, they would say, oh, yeah, this Bitcoin stuff, yeah, criminals love it because it's so private. Well, they only said it was private because of their own ignorance. Okay, sort of opaque in their brain. So, yeah, time went by and developments occurred, and some smarter nerds came in and they basically made it private. So that we actually use, we're sort of a clone of another one called Zcash, and they have this technology called ZK Snarks, which is an implementation pulled from cryptography of something called zero knowledge proofs, which is the idea of how do you prove something without actually revealing the thing that you're proving, right? Sort of like if I had a book of like, where's Waldo, if you've ever seen that, and you're hunting through this image, like where is this little cartoon character, and it's really hard to find, and that's the challenge. Well, I could tell you I know where Waldo is. And if I take this book and hide it behind my back and cover it up with a sheet of paper and cut a little tiny hole over Waldo, I can align it and then bring it back to you and show you, see, there's Waldo. And I'm proving to you that I know where Waldo is, right? But then if I turn my back again and I remove the paper and show you the book again, now you know that I know where Waldo is. But if I say, where's Waldo? You don't know where he is. And that seems like a dumb example, but there's plenty of circumstances where you want to be able to prove something without revealing the whole thing. If you imagine like, a young lady going to a bar and she needs to prove that she's of drinking age, she would whip out her state ID, right? Her driver's license or something. Well, the bouncer at the door now can prove that she's of drinking age, right? But he also is secretly a stalker and now knows where she lays her head to sleep at night, which is really bad. So there are plenty of circumstances. Actually, Google's actually working on this to try to use zero knowledge proofs in a sort of an identity sense, right? Um, so that way, basically, this whole push for digital IDs, won't completely go screwy wrong, right? So, it's almost like having a post-it note where you only cut a little section where you're like, here's my zip code, here's my face, here's my driver's license number, and you can like show it to the bouncer and like they see everything they need to and nothing else, but in a digital way. So there's plenty of uses for this technology, but as applied towards blockchain technology, of which one use case is cryptocurrency or digital money, yeah, pirate chain is in its own class, because it is 100% mandatory private. Nobody does that, right? And so we have the superior tech and the superior philosophy. So that's really important when you want to have, sort of like this whole digital gold thing, like Bitcoin is digital gold. Well, it can't possibly be because, there are two functions of any money. There's store of value, right, and medium of exchange. And unfortunately, everybody who's investing in Bitcoin because they're like waiting for their, win crypto Lambo, bruh, or whatever they're dreaming of, right? They're only going to realize that when they exit out of crypto back to dollars, right? So they never really cared about crypto to begin with, and they were only using it as a store of value, but never as a medium of exchange. So that's less about being like a digital check, where if you had an encrypted check, the bank couldn't even see it to actually verify that the date and from and to and signature. They have to be able to see it, right? But the signature in a digital sense would be like a digital signature, right? That's it's actually one function of whatever public key cryptography, right? One flip side of the coin is digital signatures, where you can still maybe see the thing, but you can validate that it hasn't been messed with, and that it's authentic and proper, like it actually been signed, almost like signing a check. And then the flip side of that is encryption, where it's all opaque except for between you and the person that you're sending the data to, right? So that's not appropriate for a check, but it's absolutely critical for cash. So that becomes then a cash equivalent. So that's the medium of exchange part, right? So there's room for digital checks, there's room for digital cash, but to try to use cash as if it's checks is a big mistake. And that's what these people are basically trying to do in the crypto world. And so this is the reason why I call um, pirate chain in this basket of currencies. It's the online component, whereas gold and silver the offline component. And I don't call it cryptocurrencies. I borrow another term from cryptography called cipher, and it turns out that's an Arabic word which actually means zero. So that's actually perfect. So this I consider to be cipher currency, not cryptocurrency. Anyway, sorry, a lot of semantics there, but the basic idea here is if I pull it up from our FAQ, I can read a little something here just to give you an idea what the organization's about. The purpose of Zero Transaction History Alliance is to try to encourage merchants to accept honest countercurrency money like precious metals such as gold and silver, in addition to pirate chain privacy cipher currency, as these all leave exactly zero public transaction history behind. The ZTH Alliance also discourages the use of fiat compliance currencies, such as the US dollar, in favor of earning it for goods and services, as well as directly spending it on goods and services in one's own local neighborhood. So, you know, the idea here is to encourage merchants in your own local neighborhood to allow you to, if you fell out of favor with whatever government, sort of like the Canadian truckers, it sort of happened to them where they protested COVID, and they had no way out of the sort of long arm of the law of the emergency powers that the Canadian government invoked and froze all their assets, and literally they had no choice but to comply with all the crazy COVID mandates that they were putting up with. So that's unfortunate. But if they had, if they were using any one or multiple of these sort of basket of currencies, um, they would have been able to outlast the government and be able to protest it properly, and they just never would. So, that's part of what I'm trying to do is to make this a reality in your local neighborhood, so that way you can like fill up your gas tank or get a you know get some groceries, feed your family, if it came down to it, right? Uh, Obviously, it could be used for much more than that, but there's the online component, which is the digital money, but then there's the offline component, which is physical gold and silver, and we make that practical by using the same techniques as a coin shop would. They have a little electronic testing device, and I own one of those, and it's instant, non-destructive, and that and weighing it, and you can't have it detects all fakes. So it's any merchant can adopt this process. So that's what we do in the Zero Transaction History Alliance, and we're growing all the time. And as I was doing this, talking about this organization and sort of spreading it, it kind of occurred to me that in the digital money space, there's such a thing as a hardware wallet. And what this allows you to do is, when you typically start up a digital money wallet, you run some software, typically on your PC or your phone, maybe an app or something, and it generates a secret key, right? And the danger there is if you generate that on an online device, if that system was infected with malware, then somebody could have stolen that key and essentially steal all your funds anytime they want, right? Like that is a potential risk. So to mitigate that risk, there's this concept called cold storage rather than a hot wallet, which is like on your PC. And the idea is you have, let's say, a spare laptop and you air gap it, and you basically like disable all wireless, and you load the cryptocurrency software on it, and you can actually shuttle signed and unsigned versions of the transaction via USB stick over an air gap, right? But the thing is that there's a market for having a pocket device to sort of replace that, right? And so common devices are ones called Ledger, another one's called Trezor, and you can fit Bitcoin in there or Litecoin or any of the thousands of coins, right? But if you go to Trezor.com and you type in pirate chain, lo and behold, it's not there, which sucks, right? So we have a whole class of people that are never going to get that protection. And primary reason I would say is that these devices don't have the computing power in order to pull that off, and they never will, because you can do Bitcoin and Litecoin and all those other, Dogecoin or whatever, using very, very little hardware capacity and compute power. So I said, well, I'm an IT guy. I'm a nerd. I'm an engineer. Maybe I can pull this off. So I started my journey and went down a couple of rabbit holes of different technology choices and came up with a working model for pretty cheap. And turns out you can use a commonly available development board. I'm not going to go into the details because we're in a sort of a early phase of the project, but that will become public very soon. And but yeah, commodity off-the-shelf parts, development board. The thing runs Linux, Debian Linux, and you can snap on a whole array of displays, some large, some small. And it turns out I was able to find something that a display that is essentially the same as a Kindle. It uses e-ink, and that means it has persistence of display even when the power is cut off. The device has no battery, and has it does have a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chip in it, but I forcibly I've set it up so that the drivers don't load, and so that means that it's air gapped essentially, right? And in fact, when you get this device and you unbox it, you don't have, it's meant to be tethered. It gets its power. It says it has no battery. Just like a Trezor, you plug it right into your USB port. But it doesn't have to be a desktop PC or your phone. It could literally be a power bank, USB power bank, or even a wall charger for that first initial critical phase where it doesn't even have, it hasn't even had a chance to ask you for a PIN unlock code, uh, which after getting that from you on screen on the device, it will generate you a crypto, whatever, like a digital money wallet, cipher currency wallet on the device. And it stores it on let's see, like a third partition. It's like a dedicated partition. The amount of space required to store these, since you're not synchronizing the blockchain, is not it's not an online device like your PC or your phone. It doesn't have to synchronize that database and have gigabytes and gigabytes of downloaded data, because it's not an online device. So the amount of data required for that partition is like 28 megabytes. It's ridiculously small. But unfortunately, the headless version of this cryptocurrency software that or whatever digital money software that I'm using, um, it um, it if you use the GUI version, it has application level encryption of the wallet files, but this headless version does not. So I use Lux or LUKS full disk encryption software, pointed only at that one partition. And the pin unlock code is the passphrase for that, and you can choose it to be as long as you want. um, within reason. And there are design decisions of why I couldn't really get away with more advanced sort of schemes of doing Lux passphrase. Um, there's different modes you can use, but they're memory intensive, and the memory on this device is really really tight. So, some trade-offs here and there, but essentially you've got, basic, protection right there. If this device had actually had the ability to have the power and data USB port, which is currently what it tethers off of the host device, it has a second port, but it doesn't have a second USB controller, so there's no way for it to simultaneously have that second port act as a USB host device, which would allow you to plug in like a keyboard or any kind of a USB slave device. And in my case, if it had that ability, I would have used an only key to store a super long passphrase and even function as a second factor, FIDO2 device, right? Or it even emulates a YubiKey. So it could have been a true a two-factor security. This particular board does not have that feature, but if it had it, believe me, I would have set it up. So this is about as good as you can get. And honestly, as far as like apples to apples comparison, this is really the equivalent of having a spare laptop that runs Linux, except that this actually fits in your pocket, right? Just like a Trezor. But because it's a conventional operating system and there's no networking, you can do hardening, you can, have all the software live in GitHub and run SNCC against it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I haven't actually done all that yet, but I haven't released it either. So I have a little bit of time to actually help secure that. Um,
Warlock.
yeah.
Real quick, do you mind sharing do you have a picture you can show? At least of like what it looks like on
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
outside,
yeah. Oh, sure, sure, sure.
just
So
to give
this
some
is
context.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll just show you real quick. So this is the main website. I have a donations page and other stuff that's fun, whatever the hell. Um, let's see. Oops. Uh, okay. So this is our my web store. This is store.zthalliance.com, as you can see right here, store.zthalliance.com. And this is the zero transaction history alliance, and this is the device itself. And this is the main photo, which you can see. Uh, it's this sort of black plastic case. And here you can see this sort of cutout here showing you the display. There's a black bezel. And here's the e-ink display. And here's a quarter here for scale, and here's the USB cable, so you can kind of get a sense of the scale of it. So this is basically the size of it. It's 74 millimeters in length. It's 44 millimeters in, I guess, depth, and the thickness of it or height is 20 millimeters. So it's kind of like two USB sticks side by side. And it's 58 grams or 1.8 ounces. And so it's very light, and we've had some beta testing done, and that's pretty much what it looks like. So I have one in my pocket. And also, let me show you some other screenshots here. This is what the actual, I actually wrote this touchscreen software myself in Python, and I had to adapt the touchscreen driver, that kind of stock one that came with this screen, and heavily modified it. And so I was, basically able to say, construct me a pin pad, right? Or maybe like an alpha, sort of a keyboard, right? Like if you wanted to be able to restore your seed phrase on the device itself. And this is a critical security feature because rather than, just like an only key, you're not putting the pin into your PC. You're actually typing it onto the screen, right? Just like your phone. And so that mitigates, sniffing of keystrokes, right? Which is a really critical thing for a high security device. So, here we have this unlock pin. I may change this to an alphanumeric keyboard. I have other sort of GUI widgets in this framework that I developed. So if I do that, then that would be the equivalent literally of what you have on your phone. And you could actually do a proper passphrase for your Lux encryption passphrase. But for right now, it's a pin. That's fine. So it's basically better than nothing. And then once that's unlocked, this is the main screen. And here, I don't know if you can see my cursor over here, but on the left we've got a triple dot menu. If we press that, then that goes into, let's see. Wait, oh yeah, this is what you see. This is the sort of an options screen, and each one of these buttons has sort of a a feature that you can do there. And there's also a settings button, so there's an additional screen that if I wanted to have settings like there's a checkbox for enhanced logging. So if a user had an issue with this, they could basically check that off, go do the thing, and then it basically just adds additional application level logging to syslog. And there's software that basically this thing talks to over USB on the PC side. It's called CipherBridge, and that basically bridges the gap between this device, which is tethered to the host PC or phone or whatever, uh, over USB, which talks to this GUI desktop software, which I'll show you in a minute, and then that acts as a bridge via RPC to the treasure chest software, which I'll show you in a moment, that you already have running on your system. Okay, which is where you would have your hot wallet live. Okay, and the idea here is, as you can see, we have a function here. Let's see. Oh, it's actually initiated from the Cipher bridge, but that thing can initiate a request to export the viewing key. So that way, basically, you can then construct transactions using the CipherBridge software, and then it sets it all up, and then it pops up on here on your screen. But you have to export the key that you generated into your software. So I'll show you what that looks like. So essentially, here's a couple of screens. It's pretty much what it looks like. Oh, and this is is just a sort of a, I don't know if I can blow this up. Oh, no, I can't. But I'll actually load the software. But essentially, this is just a screenshot of the CipherBridge software that I wrote, which is cross-platform and runs. It's also a Python GUI software, and I used AI to help me develop. I actually used AI to help me develop all of this, and I used sort of the free tier of Gemini Code Assist. I started off with VS Code, IDE plugin. And then after talking a little bit with Synac about CLI sort of agents, I transitioned to the CLI version of it, which actually was a lot more productive. So, but I'll bring the software up so you can kind of see what it is. But this is the send screen, and you can basically just set up the transaction, and it stages the whole thing for you. So yeah, this is my website right here. I currently sell it for $200, and essentially, just so you understand, um, I went from first concept of this to first sale in 2 months, all by myself, using AI, coded in Python. So just to give you an idea, if you've been kind of sitting on the fence for using AI to sort of assist you, and it also helps that I actually code. So I was able to judge the work output of this thing and stop it from hallucinating and give it guardrails and all the goodness that you need to learn how to do. I highly, highly recommend learning a little bit about sort of the world of AI and how to keep AI sort of sane. So yeah, it's $200. I priced it that way because it's pretty much the same as a Trezor. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, this web store here is actually something called OpenCart, and there are different choices you can have for a web store, and you could do Shopify, right? I think No44 does Shopify. There's also WooCommerce and a couple other ones, but I didn't want to have that as a service. I wanted to self-host it. So what I did was I went and searched and I found something called OpenCart. They've got OpenCart version 4. Don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. They have an API and it's only 10% developed, even though they've released it. Okay, so it's really bad. OpenCart version 3 has been around forever, and it uses modern PHP version. I think it's 8.3. So at least it's not end of life to PHP. So there's that. That's kind of important. And yeah, And so I was able to basically use the software, and I've heavily customized it. And this software has the ability to extend its functionality, so you can modify the way that the website looks. You can add functionality. Like I actually added the ability for people to buy this Cipher wallet, which the underlying price is in dollars. It allows you to it does a live lookup of the $200 of what would the conversion rate be to convert it into Pirate Chain, because there's websites that will track all this stuff. It gets you a quote, and it has a timeout, it's sort of a 60-second timeout. And if you accept it before that timeout occurs, then the amount that it calculated for you is how much you would have to send in order to satisfy the order in Pirate Chain. If it times out, then the logic basically allows you to get a new quote, and then it just simply repeats, and you can cancel out of the whole process. But yeah, I heavily modified this using just get Gemini Code Assist, and having a coding background helps. But yeah, so I was able to add a whole lot of interesting functionality. Like I actually added something. If we go back here, you can see I have a whole rack of products, and this is the only one here that I sell on this web shop. The rest of these, like this one here, this here, Mission Darkness, like actually all the rest of these are sort of called affiliate sales. So if a user were to, let's say, click on this, right, then it says buy on Amazon. So I was able to add a tag for this product into OpenCart and say, if this attribute, this property exists in here, and it says affiliate link and affiliate name, the affiliate name literally is Amazon, which is what you see here. And affiliate link is, if we hover over this, I don't know if you can see in the lower left, it says amzn.to, blah, 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 whatever. You can actually go to Amazon and become a sales affiliate, and which means that anything that you find on Amazon once you're registered, it has a sort of a strip at the top where you can say generate link, and anybody that uses that link, if they were to buy this thing off of Amazon, you actually get credited back, and you get a cut of the sale, like a commission. So even though I don't sell this, okay, I can pick and choose things off of Amazon that are maybe privacy related. Like this right here is what's called a steel word cassette. So instead of writing your 24 English words that represent your secret for your wallet uh, down on a piece of paper, which is what you're supposed to do, uh, which is susceptible to fire and flood, okay, this right here uh, is sort of like the size of an audio cassette, and it has a bunch of little letters that you can sort of, almost like Scrabble letters, you can slide in there. And so it's the same thing as what you'd run on the piece of paper, but it's literally in steel. So that means that the thing that helps you recover your money, if your cold storage wallet device gets stolen or lost or something, um, you'll always be able to get your money back, no problem, as long as you take that and maybe stick it in the safe deposit box. So that's one example. Let's see, I'll go back here. Only Key, super recommended. Um, but again, this is on Amazon. So I was able to add all these in here with these little plugins that I developed. And also this right here, I've got a swag shop off of printify.com, which I got the idea from Null404, because you use printify.com for your swag. And I have a little pop-up store, and so you can literally redirect them anywhere else you want to go. But if they do that, they actually go to a different website. And oh, sorry, pardon my French of that right there. But anyway, yeah, so like if somebody were to click on something here and purchase it, this is a pop-up shop run completely by printify.com. And but they use your domain name. Like you can actually authorize it. Like I think I use Cloudflare or whatever. But they go, oh, we detected you use Cloudflare. Do you authorize us to enhance your records or something to allow you to have your store name? And I call this swag, SWAG. So this website is swag.zthalliance.com. But literally, I don't transact. I don't handle any of this stuff. So you don't have to have Shopify. You literally can just do this pop-up shop thing, and they handle everything, which is fantastic. Zero cost to you. So, all right, let me just get rid of that. And anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And what else can I show you? Let's see. Uh, yep.
Would you want to
So
show off that software you wrote that
yeah, let me.
like
Yeah,
pops up?
Yeah, let me just kind of show you that real quick. Okay, let's go to here. So what's cool about this is I have this on a private repo right now on GitHub. And to do the software development, I actually use GitHub Actions, okay, to facilitate the building of this software, okay. And I was able to figure out how to use GitHub Actions to have this yeah, all you do is you just like push to master, right? And you set a trigger on what branch that you're pushing, right? So when you push to master, which is pushing to GitHub, it wakes up, sees, oh, you've updated me, and now I need to go reach out to my GitHub, build farm, and grab a couple of virtual machines and build your software for different platforms. Well, if it's a public repo, they don't charge you anything. But if it's a private repo, which was really what I'm trying to do right now in this first phase one, um, yeah, uh, you can't use that without being charged. So there is actually a way to create your own workers, right? I need one for Linux, one for Mac OS, and one for Windows. I set up a virtual machine for Mac OS and virtual machine for Windows running on this machine right here. You register them with GitHub, and then when it comes time to do those builds, it just reaches out to your machine and does the job. So what's great is that it actually takes that, it packages it up, and it creates it creates a release. So if you're familiar with going to github.com, go to a repo, go to releases section, you see binaries, you see release number, whatever. I actually have a script I can show you that manages the release process, and it's actually really pretty cool. I used AI to write it, and if you wanted to say, I would like the next release to be an increment of, to the next major release, from 1.37 blah blah whatever, be version 2.0. You say, like, you just go like run the script dash dash major, right? Or you say dash dash minor or dash dash release candidate. It has a bunch of different options, so it's really good for managing the version. And so here's the software right here. Let me get rid of this other visually busy stuff behind it. Well, I don't know if I can really get rid of that. Let me see if I can do this. We'll do this. Okay. So this is the software that I wrote. This is all Python, okay, and it uses a GUI framework called PyQt. And so I actually straight up just used AI to code this. And when you're doing, GUI software like this, um, and you've got the CLI agent, it's able to, like, you're like, hey, I would like a window. Hey, I would like a send tab and an advanced tab, and it just does it, and then runs it pop up, and you're like, close the window, and you say, no, I want it like this, and it just does it. And it's it was a very, very fast sort of iteration loop from next thing to next thing to next thing, and you're just declaring what you want, and all the customization that you see here. So just to give you an idea of what this does right here, let's see if we have any other functions here. You got the version. Okay, so here's an example of the application version. This was all managed by that script. So 0.1.0 release candidate 4, right? So I think I can say like dash dash RC or release candidate or something, and it'll increment this to like from 4 to 5, right? So in all the different ways that you can sort of slice up versioning, that one script does it. And when I make this open source, I'll just make it available to everybody so they can use it for their own projects. So I would highly recommend you take a look at that. So here's the main screen. It's got two main tabs. This right here is the send screen. And the idea here is here's the actual software running in the background. This right here is called Treasure Chest, and this is the hot wallet software. That's the official software from Pirate Chain. Okay, this is full node software. So I'm not going to unlock this because I got a bunch of information here I don't really want to leak out. But the idea here is that this software runs an RPC port. And so you can do an application to application communication with this, right? So like this is running here in the background at all times, and then you fire up this whenever you want. And if I had unlocked this and I hit refresh, it'll actually do an RPC call, and it will pull in the addresses, the wallet addresses, into these drop-down list boxes. These list boxes. You can then select one, choose it as your default, select this checkbox here. It doesn't actually take this sensitive information that it pulls over for your cryptocurrency wallet address. it doesn't save it in an INI file directly. What it does is it does a hash of it, and then it takes that hash and it stores it in the INI file, so that way there's no information leaked, right? And then the next time when this fires up, it knows that there's a default because you save the hash, and when it pulls that in again, it just hashes each one of those addresses that it pulled over live from this software here, and then it just hashes those up and basically compare. Oh, this is the correct one, and it populates it correctly. So I did that specifically not to leak any sensitive information, which would normally only live in this software here. Okay. And so this software here is official software. I didn't write it. Okay. You just simply download the binary. I'm running Linux here, and so you just basically go run it. They have it for Windows and Mac OS as well. So and also just to note that my device actually runs the official binary that you download off of the piratechain.com website, which is where you get this treasure chest software, except this is the GUI version, and the one that you run on the device is the headless version called Pirate D. So that binary is straight up downloaded straight off of GitHub, right out of the releases section, and runs right on the device itself. And I wanted to make sure to do that so that way people could feel confident that the software that they're running on this cold storage hardware device in their pocket is legit the official software. And so it's the exact binary. So anyway, so if this was unlocked, uh, and you fire this up, it would actually just pull it straight up because it's unlocked. If not, you can unlock it, and then you can just hit this refresh. It's trying, but it says could not fetch because please unlock it, right? But it would pull it straight over. So then this screen here is where you stage your transaction. So once you know where you're going to send it from, where you're going to send it to, you can obviously select from addresses that it pulled over, or just simply copy and paste, the destination address if somebody wants you to send them, currency or something. You can paste it here, and whenever you do that, you always want to double check, maybe at least the last portion of it, almost like checking a checksum, right? Because there's malware that will detect digital money addresses on your clipboard and then surreptitiously replace that with, the criminal's, digital money address, and they're betting on the fact that you're not checking it. So that's hygiene that is necessary for literally any digital money user, no matter what. And this is also true. So you always want to double check that if you copy and paste. But as you can see, it has a sort of a program-to-program interface to avoid using the clipboard as much as possible, especially if those addresses are pulled over automatically. Here's where you put the amount of Pirate Chain, and the ticker symbol for that is R, like a pirate, ARRR, almost like BTC for Bitcoin. So you put the amount here. This usually don't change this fee amount, but there has to be a small fee that gets added because you have volunteers that are helping to run this blockchain network, and so they need a little bit of a reward for double checking the math to validate that your digital money was set correctly. It's the same procedure no matter what digital money you use, whether it's Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever. So this is no different. What's cool is you can also set a memo field, and you can have 512 characters, and this, whatever you stick in here, is sort of like a memo of a check. You can stick anything you want in there, and it borrows from the privacy of this whole thing, that if you wanted to send private messaging, you literally could just use that and send the least amount of money possible, which is like 0.000001. It's like a millionth of a penny or something. So that's a cool feature right there. And once it's all filled out, you click this button that says review on device, and send if approved. And the critical feature here is that just initiates a request. This sends something over USB to the device, and I actually wrote up a sort of a protocol. If you can think of something like SMTP or a POP, right? Where there's, if you've ever seen SMTP, right? You could, when you connect to it with TCP to port 25 or whatever of an SMTP server, it will come back with a banner, right? And it has a prompt, and you'd say, HELO or EHLO or whatever. And so there's like a back and forth sort of language. Well, I defined my own language for this thing. And I also wrote up in a document, and I released it to the mobile developers. So hopefully they'll come up with this. But essentially what that means is there's a language between this software here, this window, and the device that's tethered via USB. So they talk back and forth, and so you're able to use this software to send requests, right? And that's important to understand that nothing can happen on that device, okay, without your explicit approval. This is how Trezors are designed. This is how Ledger is designed, okay? And I made sure that the touchscreen software can interrupt anything that's going on, respond to that. It has a sort of a serial worker thread, and it can pop up a pop-up display, and it literally will just it will tell you this is the address that you're trying to send it to, right? And here's the amount, and it says, do you accept this or reject this? And so if you just simply left this plugged in and pops a little transaction and you didn't initiate that, it's not legit, right? And that could literally happen if you had malware in your system, right? So you need to have that workflow uh, sort of slaved through this external device, and you have that being a sort of a choke point or checkpoint or whatever. So there's a bunch of different things you could do, but that's the main feature where you're like, can I send this money or not, right? So that's critical. Sort of like using a only key as a second hardware factor, right? Yes, you put in the right username. Yes, you put in the right password to log you into Facebook or Gmail. But literally, there's a blinky light on your little only key, and it's saying touch the little thing on your security device. And if you didn't physically have it there, or somebody else is trying to initiate that, they physically have to be there to touch your YubiKey button or touch one of the pads on their only key, right? So I borrowed from that sort of workflow to force you, like the user has to be aware of it, see it, touch it, otherwise it'll never go through. And in fact, I'm going to be adding because this device has GPIO pins, I can basically wire up a whole host of different things I can add on. I'm going to add a little piezoelectric speaker, right, to this thing, just to make bleeps and bloops like an 80s watch or something, right? So that way, if you have to plug in, right, and a transaction came through and you weren't even aware of it, it'll go bloop, bloop, and you look over and you're like, oh, what the hell's going on? And that might be a clue that somebody's trying to hack you at that moment. And you can maybe, sort of do something about, oh, so I apologize here. Let me silence this. Um, Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, that could be an audio clue that somebody's doing a shenanigan, maybe live on you right then and there. So, go take a look, scan around and see if you can, correlate that with some logs, and maybe you'll nab the guy, right? It could be obviously a bot or something else, but anyway. So this is the main screen, and I have this whole other screen here that has a bunch of different requests that you can do. And so this is a Linux device, right? It's equivalent of a laptop, but it has no networking. So it uses this as sort of a proxy. And so you can make these requests and you can say import viewing key, right? And that allows that newly generated key that you probably generated 100% offline, right? Because you just plugged it into, like a power bank or something. And it generates it right there. And then the next time, you power it on, you plug it in, it's ready to have that a viewing key, this is what it's called, imported, which is a read-only key, to show up in this software, which empowers you to see the balance of your cold storage wallet, but not have the power to spend money from it, right? So that's how cold storage works. And Bitcoin supports cold storage, Litecoin supports it. They all support it, right, in one form or another. So that's an important thing, and or extracting logs, right? That's also a request. So um, if there's an issue with it, you can on the device, you go to the settings screen, you can say enhance logging, go do the thing that's screwing up, and then turn it off again. And then you go here and you hit this button. Even that can't extract the logs on its own. It becomes a request on the screen, right? Do you allow the PC to PC side to extract the logs, right? Because that's got some sensitive information. You might not want that to happen. So then there's other little updates you can do, like the Pirate Chain software that actually runs on the device, the headless version. This actually goes and reaches out to GitHub and checks the version and then queries the version that's on the device. And if they match, there's nothing to be done. But if there's newer software, it actually downloads that binary and then packages it up with a checksum, sends that checksum and shows it to you on the screen, sends it over to the device, and the pop-up shows you the checksum. So you can visually verify it and go, this is legit, I accept, and it upgrades that Pirate Chain wallet software. So that's one update that's possible. Another one is the on-device application, the touchscreen software. That's going to come straight out of a GitHub repo, so that could be updated. So that'll update that. Let's see, this one right here. Oh, this one here is where if your host system like this is Linux, then this becomes an option in that because it's a Linux tethered device and this is a Linux host device, this has the ability to use a software called apt-offline, which allows one online system to act as sort of a host to go, hey, you know, uh, tethered device, give me like a manifest of the software and the versions that you have and zip it up and send it over. And then you run the same software on your host device, and then it will actually go out, scan for updates, and if there's any updated packages, it downloads them, packages up into a zip file for you, and then you can take that zip file, transfer it over to the offline device, and then that same apt offline software in sort of a third stage mode can take that and actually patch your operating system completely offline. So this is how you could keep, you know, an offline device or nearline device really, 100% updated at all times with security updates, right? So yeah, so lots of little requests that you can do. And yeah, and the only other thing here is the settings, and this is the auto detected port that's appropriate to communicate with this device on Linux. But if you ran this in Windows, that would be like COM6 or something. And what's cool is that actually the USB device that shows up on the system, okay, has two identification codes, and this software knows how to see that no matter what platform it is, and is able to identify exactly what serial port in Linux, like you just saw, or which COM port or whatever port you have on a Mac OS thing. It all just magically works, right? So it's actually able to detect this device, and if you've got a bunch of different COM ports, it knows exactly which one it is. But you can actually go in here and override this manually if you needed to. So that's the software right there, and it's cross-platform and it's Python and developed with Gemini Code Assist. So that's the software itself and acts as a sort of a bridge, which is why I call it Cipher Bridge. And let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh, and also this project here, um, I have a freelance group called Overt Enigma. Let me see, where is it here? overtenigma.com. And so uh, essentially this I have a bunch of different services, privacy and digital money and cybersecurity and sort of Linux systems engineering as freelance services. And yeah, and so this project, the way I'm kind of selling it on my resume is that this group essentially did the technical work, right, as a project for the Zero Transaction History Alliance. So the Zero Transaction History Alliance gets to be nice and ideological, right, about its stuff. And this is sort of the arm of my organizations that takes on technical projects. So and we do have lots of things that we can do. I mean, here's some special projects: the Cipher Wallet, which is one of them; the Zero Transaction History Alliance is another, and also we have a development group for software development for enhancing Pirate Chain itself as a project, to bring in software developers to sort of brainstorm and sort of enhance the Pirate Chain stuff. So that's a whole wall of words. I'm not going to do a live demo, but we did do some beta testing, which I can show you right here. And here we have the shop page, which is the original page that I used. And this sort of talks about here. And here's a lot more screenshots, as we can see. Um, here. So here's where you put in the pin, okay? And then it says, oh, unlocking, and then starting wallet, which is actually where it's starting the actual Pirate Chain Pirate D headless software, the wallet software. This is actually an attempt because it may have to start it a couple of times and to actually work. So it's a little progress bar there. And that's the main screen. And then we have this other screen that I showed you. And oh yeah, here's the settings screen with check it off, enhanced logging. and then here's where you use this power button here in the upper right, and that's sort of a soft request to shut down. And so here it is shutting down, and that's the screen that the shutdown screen, which I left a little room for an OK button so that way the main screen doesn't really change. But as soon as you power it up pops this little OK button, and you press that, and you go right into the pin unlock. So, and here's the 3D printed case that I designed in FreeCAD. I'm going to make those design files available, not just the STL solid file, which would be the equivalent of what you'd download off of Thingiverse if you just want to print, download and print something, refrigerator magnet, what have you. But also the design files, which are in FreeCAD, which I would highly recommend because it's just like SolidWorks if you're familiar with that, but it's Python based. And here we can see the micro USB port, and the way that the board is sort of set up, it's not flush with the side of the case. So I had to kind of sink in a little section to kind of cover up, everything but the whole of the micro USB port. Um, this is a custom design sort of thing. Here you'll see the machine screws that I was able to figure out how to put those in securely, and here is a security feature that I use that I borrowed from when I got my NitroPad high security laptop from Germany, safely shipped to me, that hadn't been tampered with. And how do I know that? Well, they actually took the laptop and took the case screws and painted glitter nail polish, okay, over each case screw. And the quality of this photo is not very good, but if I took a higher let me see if I can zoom in. Well, anyway, but if I take a higher quality photo of this, one of this screw and one of this screw, that's a unique visual fingerprint. So if somebody were to tamper with this and remove that and try to put another dab of glitter nail polish, that pattern's going to be different. So you'll know if somebody's actually gotten their grubby fingers on your electronics because they'll have to get through this, right? So that's one security measure that we do. And let's see. So there's another. Okay, we're just cycling through them now. Um, what else is going to show here? Oh yeah, beta testing. So here's a gentleman from the Pirate Chain crew, and I was able to give this to him. We actually met in person here in sort of North County, San Diego, and just handed it off to him. And here you can see that he's holding it, and he was pretty much able to run it through its paces. And was able to sort of give a little short, testimonial here. The device is very compact, unobtrusive, easy to pack. With my other electronics in my laptop bag, it is using is very straightforward. On-screen menus are easy to navigate. It interacts well with Treasure Chest. Blah blah blah. Basically, he's just, he liked it, and it was easy to use and simpler than any other stuff that he's used before. And so, yeah, so we've done full beta, basically beta testing. Another human being's got his fingers on it, and it operated as advertised. So, yeah. Any other thing you can think of there, Sanak, that I might have left off? I can talk about.
Uh, yeah. Can you real quick just maybe briefly talk about uh how you're going to go about open sourcing the code and hardware once you've reached your goal?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, when you're doing a project like this, you could do Kickstarter, you could do GoFundMe, but those guys, kind of like MasterCard and Visa, they have a nasty history of sort of freezing your money anytime they feel like it, kind of like YouTube and their shadow bans or whatever they do. I hate that. I didn't want to run afoul of that. So I thought, well, how do I open source this, but also recoup, my R&D nut, of like the time and energy, because I had no idea how long this was going to take, right? And I am putting decades and decades, of my experience behind this. So the way I decided to do this is in three phases. The first phase is where we will have we started off with 50 pre-orders, and I basically set that up on. In fact, I can show you right here because we have actually made some sales. We're down to 43. How nice! But we started off on 50, and when that counter reaches 0, that means it's fully funded, which means people have ordered them. Right? They can either we take PayPal or credit cards, but also it's Pirate Chain because I developed that as an extension to this. Right? And half the orders, honestly, are actually in Pirate Chain. which is 100% anonymous. So lots of options there. Um, so yeah, during this first phase, it's closed source. It is. Um, and so, yeah, but the idea is that if somebody were to buy this, if they were like, oh God, it's taking too long, I want my money back. Well, I haven't touched the money. So they just go, I want a refund. And I go, okay. And I just hit the refund button. And if they paid with a credit card, they get it right back to their credit card. If it's prior chain, they get it right back to their prior chain address. Because in order to purchase this, you have to give a return address. And I have no qualms about that at all. Instant, because I'm not going to touch that, right? And if anybody requests a refund, then that number will go up rather than down, and therefore people will see, that people are legitimately getting their money back. But my hope is this: is that the people that want this will sort of push the boulder up the hill and get the word out. And the sooner that counter hits zero, the sooner we transition out of phase one to phase two. Phase two is where you don't get that blanket. I get my money back for no reason. Now, what happens is I have the money, I buy the parts, I assemble it, which is a very fast process. It's just a couple of parts you snap together. You got to image a micro SD drive from the same generic image, and I have a 3D printed case. I snap it all together and a little glitter nail polish, and I package up in a static bag that goes in a bank security bag, which banks use to transport cash between banks. And they're very cheap plastic bags, but they're tamper evident, and they have a serial number on them. So I take a photo of both glitter nail polish, screws, and also the security bag, and that gets emailed out of band. And so then once you actually get it, now you can actually pack it apart. Even the box itself, I'm going to pack it up. There's tape that when you peel it off the box, uh, if you seal all the edges of the box, it leaves a pattern behind. It's security tape, so it's very cheap to get off of Amazon. But yeah, so multiple physical security measures for tamper evidence. And so once you get it, you inspect it. If there's a problem with it, somebody's tampered with it, you just do an insurance claim and get your money back, right? Um, but if they haven't tampered with it, you'll know that it hasn't been tampered with. You unbox the whole thing and you plug it in, and then you have 2 weeks to try it out. Okay, and I'll know when based on the shipping tracking, what day you got it. And so that's a short window of time to work with me if it doesn't operate as advertised, but I'd be very surprised if it didn't, because we've done extensive testing and I'm using it myself. So once the final thing is shipped out of the 50 pre-orders, and the final 2-week period has expired for the last one that I shipped out, that's the point where I flip the switch and we go from phase two to phase three. And all I do is I go to github.com, which I have a private repo, and I just say public, and literally all the software is published under GPL version 3. You have access to all of it. You can scan all the software and look over your heart's content, do security reviews and whatever the hell you want to do. And it's free for somebody to take it and build one of their own. I'll have a build document. As I said, the 3D design files are going to be public and open source, so you can print your own case. You can remix it and come up with a better case and submit that as a pull request, essentially. Improve the software, and or just make your own and remix it into something else and throw some crappy Bitcoin on it if you felt like it, because this is literally a Linux device, right? And there's nothing stopping anybody from making it a multi-currency device, but in my opinion, it's nice that it's only pirate chain, because it's a clean spot in your life of privacy, security, and anonymity, right? In the highest security way that you can, to basically take your digital money and make it safer than Fort Knox in your pocket, which is pretty damn good, in my opinion. So I wanted to give back to the community, make sure that there's assurance that there's no back doors. All of the components that snap together to make this thing are generic, off-the-shelf, widely available parts, nothing proprietary in it at all. So yeah, so that's the plan of sort of my DIY sort of Kickstarter sort of thing. Any other? There you go.
Any questions for Warelock? I know I definitely do. I was one thing I maybe talk about real quick. I know since we're getting a little late, but is maybe talk about your like lessons learned with using AI to develop those.
Oh, yeah, thank you for the reminder. Okay, well, I used up the free tier. Basically, Gemini has a generous free tier, right? You kind of get what you get. And they start you off with, it just takes any Gmail account, honestly, right? And they start you off with their pro model, right, of their AI model, which is really the only one you want to use. When you use up all those credits, it shunts down to its next level down. Don't use it for anything. A little sort of workaround or hack or trick is that, if you have a second Gmail account, you can basically just clear your cookies out, log into that, and you get another session. And in the end, I think I ended up using 4 or 5 of them in a single day, just to kind of grind through this. So if you pay for Claude Code, go pay for Claude Code, okay? Pay for some credits, get a quality service. But one thing I would point out is this, please learn a little bit about AI, because what I noticed is that there's this feature called, like a rule set, kind of guardrails, and it's really just a set of like a text file of directives, that such that when you start a new session, it will read that in automatically, and you can basically say, if you're going to write me some PHP code, don't package it back up for delivery until you've actually run PHP-L to lint the code to see if there's any syntax errors. Okay, check for any problems, and don't output. Try to use a third-party tool if you can't catch these basic problems, right? And if you detect any, fix them. And I actually caught it. It actually used that tool to catch security or whatever, or whatever, syntax errors, basic syntax errors, right? And because before it did that, it was happily just creating me buggy code with syntax errors and wasting my time, and the software wouldn't load. You know, surprise, surprise. So that's very important. Um, just anything you want it to do or don't want it to do, like, please don't go haywire and, try to get root access and try to delete my hard drive, which is a horror story of, unsandbox YOLO mode, or you only live once mode. I would highly recommend anyone here, if you have not watched the talk that Sinek gave on sandboxing your AI, go do that ASAP. Uh, honestly, full disclosure, I did no sandboxing on this and kind of crossed my fingers, but there was actually an instance where I'd gone to the trouble of, because of the work output product for the extensions that I developed were zip files, right? So I'd made a backup file .bak. Well, it deleted that and the zip file, okay, and that sucked. So you can, uh, if you don't give guardrails to this thing, I don't care what it is, you can have some pretty bad behavior. So sandbox it, guardrail it, learn about MCP servers, take a little time and learn about this stuff. I didn't, I'm sure my workflow would have been enhanced greatly by that. Um, pulling in documentation or whatever those servers basically give you. So yeah, and just keep an eye on what the AI does, because it can hallucinate and start doing nutty stuff, especially when you start getting to the end of your credits and it starts faltering or whatever. Um, and also, I would say what happens is, like, the CLI will ask you permission, like, can I run CD? Can I run, you know, zip or unzip, right? Um, I would say if it, you can maybe get away with saying yes to all of that, except, just keep an eye on anything that might be destructive. But the big one is, you know, interactively approve any RMs, in my opinion. Anything that has the potential of, basically overriding something or destroying something, or even if it thinks like, hey, I needed this tool, I'm going to go do sudo blah, 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 blah. Well, just make sure you don't have no password whatever set up on sudo in your sudoers. Yeah, because if you did, uh, good luck. If you walk away, get a cup of coffee, your system could be destroyed. So Sandbox, sandbox, sandbox.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, and we're looking. Yeah, drop some links in here if you can. Share like how people can buy that and whatnot. Um, I know it's like I said before, it's getting a little late. Anybody have any questions for Warlock before we wrap things up tonight? For those that are collecting CPE credits, I saw that Kevin did. I think start the server or the cert bot for that. So check that out. Yeah. Any last words from you, Warlock?
Well, I will say this, that if you already know how to code, like, I don't know, yeah, I didn't really want to get a PhD in sort of PHP in a sense, and neither do you have to. But I've done enough coding that, I can look at PHP, kind of decode it and kind of go, oh, this is wrong, or this is not what I want, or, or this looks okay, right? So if you have some basic coding knowledge, the way I would say that you want to deal with AI is you treat it like an idiot savant. When it works well, oh, there's nothing like it, especially if it's going down a bunch of rabbit holes to kind of, bang its head against the wall and I'll just try this and I'll try that. At a certain point, I was just like, I need some popcorn, okay? And just sit back and watch this thing suffer in ways that I don't have to suffer, right? Um, but yeah. So anyway, so just caveat emptor and treat it because when it works well, it works great. When it goes wrong, it's horrible. And honestly, when it gets into that mode, I swear to God, and I've said this a billion times, it's like 24 hours to move 2 inches in pro mode. Okay, that's ridiculous. So your mileage may vary. Keep an eye on it. Spend some money on something legit. Go get yourself some Claude Code or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely impressive that you were able to do all this with the free tier. So, did you hit
Oh yeah,
any limits at all?
all the time.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
in the beginning, I was, I did some light, like when I did the Cipher Bridge program, that didn't really take up much at all, and it was very fast, right? But when you're trying to basically do this, it's like basically building a ship in a bottle. Yes, the device itself, and also the web store extension stuff, because it's not just straightforward. You have to build a zip file and then go through a convoluted GUI process through the web UI to even test one iteration of it. It's just a pain. It's just a pain. So anyway.
Well, yeah, thanks a lot for coming on and doing a talk tonight. I know we got Christmas Eve tomorrow, so yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us this Tuesday night or right before the holidays. I saw, looks like Vinny's out and traveling. I know some of you guys might be traveling. I know a lot of folks will be traveling tomorrow. So yeah, big
Oh,
shout out and thanks to all you guys. Yeah, what's up, Warlock?
oh, just one last thing. So, this is a business of mine. Okay. I am selling these. They're $200. There's nothing like this in the world. I have literally the only one in my pocket right now. I hope to change that. And if you like the concept of digital money or you like privacy, take a look at Pirate Chain as a sort of digital money. And if you like that, this is literally the highest security way that you can do it without having to do it all yourself, right? So this is something I highly encourage you to take a look at. If you like it, buy one, you know, and you can be one of the cool kids on the block, right? And looky, if you need some tech support, you know where I live on the Null 404 Discord. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah, yeah,
I had to
right.
plug it. Yeah, so there you go.
Oh yeah, we're definitely looking forward to once you eventually open source thing for we can get some of us in there and we can help you with with security things like that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, just keep us in the loop.
Yeah,
Uh,
if this, yeah, if this had been open source, maybe from the beginning, if that had made sense, I absolutely would have reached out and said, "Hey guys, here's my repo. I tried to scan it with SNCC, but maybe I missed something, and